Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm a burden to others? Maybe it's that gnawing feeling that your needs are too much, or that people only help you out of obligation. This belief is more common than you might think, and more powerful than you realize. But what if I told you it's not you who's the burden? It's this belief that's weighing you down. Today, we're diving deep into the core belief, I am a burden to others. Where it comes from, how it shapes your life, and how you can finally let it go. The belief I am a burden to others is more than just self-doubt. It's a lens through which you see yourself and your relationships. It's the idea that your needs, feelings, or existence might be too much for others to handle. It's the silent fear that asking for help will push people away. Sound familiar? Like most core beliefs, this one doesn't come out of nowhere. It's shaped by our earliest relationships, our childhood attachments. Our first experiences of connection come from our caregivers. They teach us whether we're safe, supported, and valued. But what happens when those early relationships are inconsistent, neglectful, or overly demanding? Emotionally distant caregivers. If your caregivers often dismissed your feelings or needs, you might have learned that asking for help is inconvenient or unwelcome. Overwhelmed parents. If your caregivers were overwhelmed, struggling with their own issues, you may have felt like your needs added to their stress, internalizing the belief that you're a burden. Overprotective parents. If your caregivers constantly emphasize sacrifice or hardship to care for you, it might have left you feeling guilty for needing support. These early messages, whether intentional or not, stick with us. They become the stories we tell ourselves about our worth and our impact on others. So, what does the belief, I am a burden to others, really mean? Let's break it down into the sub-beliefs hiding beneath the surface. My needs are too much for others to handle. I'm only tolerated out of obligation. Asking for help makes me weak or selfish. If people knew the real me, they'd leave. I don't deserve the love or support I receive. I'm always in the way or causing problems. It's better to handle everything on my own. Do any of these sound familiar? These aren't just thoughts, they're narratives that shape your emotions, behaviors, and relationships. When you believe you're a burden, certain emotions tend to follow. Let's talk about them. Guilt, constantly feeling bad for needing or taking up space. Anxiety, worrying about being rejected or judged for asking for support. Shame, feeling like your existence is inherently inconvenient or undeserving. Loneliness, avoiding connection to protect others from your perceived burden. These emotions don't just hurt, they isolate you, reinforcing the belief that you're better off keeping your struggles to yourself. Believing you're a burden doesn't just affect how you feel, it shapes how you act. Here's how it might show up in your daily life. Over-apologizing, constantly saying sorry, even for things you didn't do wrong. Avoiding help, refusing assistance, even when you really need it. Overcompensating, doing too much for others to earn your place in their lives. Withdrawing, pulling away from relationships to avoid being a bother. Taking on too much. Overloading yourself with responsibilities to prove your worth. These behaviors are attempts to protect yourself and others, but they also keep you trapped in the cycle of feeling like a burden. This belief doesn't just affect your actions, it shapes your entire sense of self and your faith in relationships. Faith in yourself. You doubt your worth, questioning if you're good enough to deserve support. Faith in others. You assume people are helping you out of obligation, not care. Identity. You start to see yourself only as someone who inconveniences others, losing sight of your strengths and value. Over time, this belief can take over, making you feel invisible and disconnected from your true self. Living with this belief is exhausting. You spend your days second-guessing every action, overthinking every interaction, and carrying a constant weight of guilt. But it's not all bad. This belief can also make you incredibly thoughtful, kind, and self-aware. The problem? It often comes at the expense of your own needs and happiness. The good news? You don't have to live with this belief forever. Here's how you can start to break free. Challenge the belief. Ask yourself, is this true? Often the idea that you're a burden is based on old stories, not reality. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a loved one. Allow support. Let others help you. Connection isn't a one-way street, it's about give and take. Communicate openly. Share your feelings with trusted people. You might be surprised by their willingness to support you. Remember, you're not a burden, you're human. Your needs, feelings, and existence matter. And the fact that you're here, watching this, means you're ready to start believing that. If this resonated with you, know that you're not alone, and you're not defined by this belief. If you want more content like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can rewrite these limiting beliefs and create lives full of connection and self-worth.